Hey guys, welcome. How you doing? Let's see. I'm gonna go like this. So I made this yesterday, but now I want to try and see if I can come up with like a background that I feel would work. Let's see. Okay, so there we go. All in one. I'm gonna get rid of this. Hello, welcome, welcome. If you're new here, my name's Bree. Hi. I haven't decided yet if I want to do a vertical piece or a horizontal piece. If I do a vertical piece, I definitely want this to be like much smaller with like a lot of light pushing down on this. So there's one way I could do it. I could also keep it here. Hi, welcome guys. If you don't mind and you're hanging out here, if you could just press the like button, that would be awesome. If you haven't subscribed, please do. If you feel so inclined to share this link, that would be awesome as well, but again, no pressure. And let's see. I have not planned out how I'm going to accomplish this, so oh, thank you guys so much. Hi, welcome everybody. Don't forget to give a thumbs up if you're still hanging out here, and I'm going to attempt to figure out how on earth I want to create a background for this. I do have a tutorial that I've recorded earlier on how to make this part, the fox itself plus this ground. Once I figure out what I want for the background, then I will add an additional tutorial, a part 2, where people can add a background if they would like. That is, of course, after I figure out what I want to do. So let's see, reset. I tend to like, hi, hello, hello. Oh, you got is that a fox I see in your little picture there, profile picture? Okay. I'm just sketching in some things and we'll see what I end up deciding. I definitely think I want like the forest in the background to be more on the like less in focus and have this be the obvious focus. You're fine. I want to treat it kind of like a photograph where the edges are more blurred and then the focus is right in here. Can I draw a dog next? I can try, you know, I've not done a dog before. I've done a fox and I've done a wolf, but I've not done a dog. But I feel like it's right around there. So I will certainly give it a try. This year this year coming up, for 2025, my goal is to really zero in on the skill set of humans and animals. I tend to do nature. That's where I'm most comfortable. That's honestly what I'm most passionate about. However, I would like to expand because I think the more, you know, the more skill sets you have, it means the possibilities are, you know, kind of endless. I want to show you guys, so I just made this, so if you guys are looking for a tutorial, I do have the tutorial out on this. I'm very proud of this one. This one was like nature. This I've never done before. I've never done a portal, so I wanted to try one out, and I liked the way that it turned out. Hi. I can't draw very well. That is okay. So the nice thing about art is that it's a skill set that you can develop. There's tons of artists out there that start with zero skill whatsoever and build their way up. And then there's also artists that might have natural talent, but can also sort of flatline, if you will, because they're not willing to go outside their comfort zone and learn beyond their skill set that they're like comfortable within, right? Bye, thank you for hanging out. Have a good day. Sorry, my husband just got home from work and he was just real quick saying hi. So I'm going to make the trees definitely different. I'm just getting the sketch of some of this down, trying to figure out if I actually need the trees to be like significantly like taller. I think that's probably going to be it, and then I'll have details back here to show that there are leaves. And then obviously I don't want the trees to just be sticks straight up and down. So we'll want to, like for example, I can just grab this and just tilt it a little bit. I can also go in and overlap and just make sure that there's a little bit more natural curves to these trees. I will also be changing up some of the colors because I don't want them, the further back, I'm trying to think how I want my lighting. So if the light's coming down right here. So these trees up front will probably actually be lighter than the trees in the background. At least that's how I'm envisioning it. I might change that as we go. Okay, so for now, I'm going to grab a much lighter brown, put it on a new layer, and put those back here as well. If you guys have any questions, topics you'd like to discuss, please feel free to add that into the chat. I'm going to try, what color should I do here? Maybe I'll go for, I'm not sure if this will work, but I'm gonna go for sort of a, like a grayish green background for right now. And then I'm going to, let's see. All right, you want to definitely, like, I'm not the greatest at composition. It's something I need to brush back up on. And there's different, like, if you look online at like composition, there's, let me see if I can find like an example. There's a lot of different ways that you can break up a page other than just into thirds, and create like focal points. And there's, this one's probably like an easier one to sort of show here, but like different types of composition, right? These two are very similar, but this one, this one tends to be one of my favorites because it sort of you like have different things drawing your eye as it comes back into here. I love this one. Here's one that a lot of us are, the rule of thirds, that we're very familiar with. There's a lot of, and these aren't even all the different ways you can break up composition, but it's important to keep these in mind when we go to make our focal points. So for now, I'm just doing a simple background. It did a swirl for us. There we go. Okay, so right now I'm going to add some lighting just to help me sort of visualize a bit more easily how I want the piece to come together. I'm going to put this on add blending mode. I'm already on the medium hard brush and the airbrush. I'm going to start by just creating a little bit of a light up here. I can also move that up just a touch. And I'm going to, for now, I will add them onto the same layer once I like the way that it looks, but I am doing this on another layer. And you can start to create sort of like sunbeams. And then that means with how vibrant this is, that also means that I can push the light on the fox later. I'm not going to right now, until I'm certain that I like this lighting, but I just wanted to show, sort of establish the light for us so we can decide where the light hits on the trees, the ground, and stuff like that. Realistically, these trees would be probably a lot taller. So I want to push them like this, and then I'm also going, I like that tree there. Maybe I can sort of move some of these a bit. And then I'll also have stuff peeking through here and creating like bushes and just different sort of foliage to really fill this out. We can even start that right now. For now, I'll just connect these. I'll also do that here. So on this layer, one of the brushes that I really like to use for like out of focus background texture is under organics and using cotton. I feel like cotton does a really nice job of getting texture in. I'm gonna use this like orange. I might make it a little bit more brown and a little bit less saturated. I may change that. We'll see how I feel about it once I have it down here. But now we're starting to just get a little bit of an idea of how this forest is going to start coming together. And then I will be able, I'll grab this color for now. Again, that might change. I'm going to put it on a different layer. But I can also start building in some like shrubs down here. Okay, so I like this. I think I'm just going to combine them. I can always fix that if I don't. And I end up changing my mind, but right now I want to add in a bit more of this green. I also could do some more like blues because blue and orange are complementary, but there's also red in the fox, which means that green can be complementary, which is why I also did more of a greenish gray down here. But I do want to see what I can get away with in terms of the blue. So I'm going to choose this blue. And I'm going to add, don't worry, I'm going to fix the colors once I sort of get some of this down. I don't like that texture. Maybe add a bit more back here. All right, so now we can sort of see what blending modes add. That kind of looks nice. That one looks okay. That one looks okay. I could probably take down the color though, like the intensity of it. Okay. I'm going to start with this one. We'll see what happens. But I am going to take my eraser and just take out some of the details I don't need down here right now. It doesn't have to be perfect because this background we'll go through changes. And I am going, I think that looks nice. Okay, we're gonna work a little bit more on the ground as well right now. I kind of jump around. I apologize if that's confusing for anybody. I just find that moving around helps my eyes relax from a certain area to sort of get a better like realistic view of how I want it to come together. If I stay too focused on one area, I sometimes won't see the changes that need to be made, like just being too close to the project in that way. And all the brushes that I am using for this are in Procreate. Like, they come with the program. I do have brushes, like foliage brushes, that I think would expedite this process a lot. If you've never gotten like a brush set before, there's some really good ones for like nature and landscape art, but obviously you can absolutely pull off, you know, with the brushes that are provided in Procreate, you know, the textures needed. All right. And there's obviously some grass texture in here that I'm going to put in, but I also want to try, and I want to get some of this color down on the ground, sort of make it look like leaves. So I'm going to, on a new layer, go up to the artistic, and we're going to use the Aurora brush. These are amended versions of the Aurora. The only changes that are made are in the spacing and the jitter here under stroke properties. Dynamic, the jitter size is changed because I like that there's variation this way. And the last thing is in the color dynamics. So usually the color dynamics are like something like this. They're like quite large. Let's see. Like, it's usually something a bit more like that, a bit more scattered. So I like to take out all of these additional, like for at least this, I don't need a little variation's fine, but I don't need a lot. I think when it's a lot, it starts to become competing in the details, and I don't want too much. I don't want it to compete too much. So. And I am going to lighten this up and play with it a bit so it's not so saturated in its color. I also might change just a little bit of the perspective, and I'll explain or show you in a second what I mean by that. So because it's on its own layer, I can grab the transform tool and use distort so I can have it with a bit more perspective and sort of squish these a little bit so they look more like they're sitting more flat on the ground. I think that personally helps it sort of rest a little better in the piece. On the leaves, I'm going to put Alpha Lock on, and I'm going to grab one of the darker colors, and still using the brush, I am going to go in the same brush, the Aurora brush, and I'm going to go in and just darken up some of the areas, not all of them. I will paint some separate from this as well. Take that off of the clipping mask. I'm going to grab this red. Let's see what we can do with this. I might take the opacity down. We'll see how that works. I'll also be adding some of these leaves up here as well, but I just want to make sure that I'm working on the floor of this forest first. One of the ways to more easily sort of darken up the edges without having to full-on paint it is selecting this background. And I'm going to use the selection tool. It's on freehand. I'm going to grab here and grab here. I'm going to use feather, and then I can take the brightness out a bit and darken this up. It won't be perfect, and we still have to do some of the painting, but that is a really efficient way to just quickly start to create almost like a, I can't think of it starts with a V, but it's like where it kind of makes that tunnel of light where it's darker on the edges and lighter in the middle. Okay. Go back to this layer, and actually I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to grab this reddish brown that's in the fox's fur. I am going to go to leatherwood. I like leatherwood for bark detail, which I'll probably use on some of these, but I also think for the leaves that we're kind of going for, I think it could add in some nice texture and color variation down here. See that nice texture? Like, maybe I'm just a weirdo, but I love the texture of this brush. It's very nice. I love how versatile it can be. Okay, now I'm going to go to the organics. It's organic, sorry, I always put an S on the end. The organic brush set. And I'm going to keep this brown color, but just slowly and gently build up this floor at the front. And then we'll be incorporating these colors that are here out once I get just a little bit more painted. Like I want to do some stuff with the trees. I'm going to, what should I do? Do this brown for now. And I'm going to artistic, the Aurora brush, I'll do that one. And so you can see up here, we can add leaves that way, but I want them smaller. So I want the suggestion of leaves, but I don't want all of it to be leaves. I just need just a little bit to show detail. And then eventually we'll be able to also add, you know, specific lighting so that these will appear much brighter and highlighted by this beam of light, while these will be darker. Right now we're getting like the base of the leaves down. I'm not a fan of this anymore, so I'm just going to get rid of that. On this layer, I am going to go in though. Probably grab this and go to So I think that's starting to look a little bit better. And here we can really push the light if we want. We can put details of fur if we want. You can also put it on top, but I'll do that lighting later. Right now I just want to get down the most noticeable lights. All right, and then I'll work on the trees and building more trees and maybe even some fog in the background in a second. I am going to right now just try and bring some of these colors into here as well as some of this grass, and might also blend some of this color into over here, but just not too much because I do want the main focus to be this fox, and I don't want these colors to compete with this too much. Stay on that layer. Reinforce brush, and so I'm gonna just put in some this brighter color in here. And I don't know how this happened. It's totally fine, not a big deal. I'll just paint over it. What I think would work best is probably just grabbing this, moving this over, and then smudging it in. There we go. And now I definitely want to make sure that I'm getting more highlights back here. I'm not sure where that came from, but I'm not even going to worry about it. It's fine. Probably won't register once I have everything painted. So let's get more. Oh, I know why that's not working. Okay, we won't use that one. I'm not really liking the way this is, the light's coming out, so I'm gonna just skip this for now. I'll come back to it. Let's work on the trees. Sometimes it's just good, again, to move around and not get too stuck in any one particular area. I find my artwork ends up suffering for it. I end up taking too long on pieces if I get like hyper fixated on an area. So when I find that an area is not working, I just move on to a new one. Just give myself a break. Does anybody have any topics they want to discuss or questions or anything? How long has everybody been painting? Are you a newer painter? Have you been painting a long time? So right now I'm using the leather wood brush that I've mentioned before. I really enjoy using it for creating bark texture. And I also like using it to soften up some of these lines as well. I can make it a bit smaller, but I like that it keeps the texture, but also doesn't keep necessarily the intensity of that color that I initially put down. And I can always paint in that, you know, that intensity if I want to, but I also like that I can take it out too. When I do run into an issue where it's not working, the eraser I use is the Inca brush, because while it does have a sharp edge, it does have a slightly textured edge, so I think it helps keep the integrity of the style that I'm working in. I'm going to use this color right now to try and put in some others. Changed my mind. I don't like that. Maybe something more like that. Okay, so basically that color again. Just ignore me. It's fine. And I can always, if I want to add just a bit more like curvature to the tree and just have it be a little bit more natural, I can erase and just rebrush and repaint certain areas. And then nothing wrong with having some of the darker areas, but if you want to take them out, you just can use the smudge tool, soften up some of these lines. Nope, didn't mean to erase. Another way that you can, like for example, this tree is very, sorry, my palm keeps hitting this tree is very vertical. A way to sort of fix this is you can go into liquify, and there's like twirl, and then there's push. I would suggest push. You could use pinch or expand, but push tends to work well. The only problem is it's grabbing other trees, so you'd want to make sure the size is appropriate. So make it smaller, and then you can push around the tree a little bit to make it less like perfect. This would work better if that tree was on its own layer, and you can also adjust the pressure and the distortion level that it's going to impact. So by putting those up, it's a lot more reactive now. Okay. So for this tree, I'm just going to repaint it because it's just too perfect. I don't like that. So let's see. Okay, so now you guys can kind of, right, you can see the difference. This was just getting the, and I mean, I worked with essentially that to get this. So it doesn't have to, you don't have to have a lot down to start creating stuff like this. So even like right here, I'm just using the smudge tool. I'm just going to figure out the shape that I want, erase what I don't need. And then I can always add in, I think I used this color, you can always add in more. And then just gently smudge out the details. Another way too that you can work with this, like let's say we want to have more shadow at the top here, but you don't have to repaint everything. On this layer here, you can use the selection tool and grab right along the top area. You want to hit feather, and then going into adjustments, you can take the color down. You can also increase the saturation if you want, or you can take it out. Before, after, before, after. It's a subtle difference, but it starts to create that rounding effect where we bring the eye to the center here. I am thinking this line is just too close. So we're gonna, like to the center of this. So we're gonna move it over a little bit here. And just smudge it out. And I think for my final, when I go to turn the background anyways, into a tutorial, I'll probably do more of a vertical because I really want to have nice elongated tall trees, but since I've already started this project this way, I'm just gonna finish it this way. And in the tutorial, I will obviously break down all of this into easy to follow steps, and then also making it so that you don't have to go through the trial and errors that I'm currently going through while I navigate how I want this to look with the colors and composition and all that. Thanks for the thumbs down. People are funny. How are you doing today? Rough day, rough life? What's going on? Hi guys, welcome. I'm going to just quickly repaint this tree because it's just a little too rigid, and just draw some bends into it. Also, if you're still here and you haven't given this live a thumbs up, if you could please do that, that'd be awesome. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Some of the work that I currently have up that I just posted, I think it was 2 days ago. Oh, my iPad is slow. If you would like to work on a tutorial, this is one that I have out now. I have a lot of other ones, but this one's my newest. I mean, I don't know that I have a lot. It feels like a lot. It feels like a lot, but I'm trying to get more out there. Ah. Do I have any fall lovers in here? Because I'm a big fan of fall. Like a big fan. That's probably good enough in terms of, because most likely people are not going to be paying too much attention to the tree details. I think the only other tree detail that I would like to maybe do is I'll create some really light ones in the background. We'll see if I like that or not. Sometimes this effect looks really nice and sometimes it looks really strange, so we'll see. Hi guys, welcome. Okay, so I like overlay. I might take it down a touch though. And I can add in more details back here. But I'm not going to stress too much. A lot of these details are not going to be like recognized. I'm still working on that, like toning down the desire to like render everything, because we don't need to do that. You can choose to do that, but it's not a requirement. Here. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love doing lighting. Lighting's like one of the best parts. It's so much fun. I will also be going in and adding, for example, like highlights and stuff on the trees to make them stand out more and like get the lighting all figured out. But like I said, I like to bounce around and not get stuck in one particular area. Bring that up, down. And I might have to push the color of the fox a bit, but we'll see. Let's try adding some of these other colors. I'm not sure how it'll show up with this effect, but I think that's good. Let's Okay, so I like the way this is going, but I do want to change the perspective of this brush. So I'm going to add a new layer and put it on add blending mode, and then add my leaves so that I can smoosh them into a perspective that I think will work better. So smush. Go into organic. Okay, so I don't like the way that looks, but I do want to use that brush. So where should I go? Probably here. Sorry. All right, for now, I'm gonna step away because I feel like I need to do something with this. I'm not sure exactly what yet. Let's see, what could I do? What I could do right in here, feather a little bit, might do like a motion blur, and then a slight Gaussian blur. So that way there's like still texture, but it's not, I don't want it to like take away from the other textures. That also means that I can add in some of this. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Right now, this is sort of me just figuring out how I want this piece to come together, but I'm glad that you like it. That's good, because I do want to turn this into a tutorial. Like the background, I do have a tutorial, just not finished, like published yet, on how to do the fox, but I wanted to add a background, so I'm still figuring out how I want it to look. I always find too that like when I do a live and I do like a practice run of what I'm thinking of putting in a tutorial. I find that when I go to actually do the recording of the tutorial, usually I think it comes out better. I can give you guys an example. So this one I did in a live, and I think it looks pretty good. But when I recreated it for the tutorial, so there was this, and then when I recreated it, I feel like I did better with a lot of the lighting and textures, and yeah. So hopefully I have that same experience when I go to recreate this background. Next, let's do... Also, thank you, and I'm sorry that I'm not great at taking compliments. I'm working on it. I'm trying. Something that I still really have a hard time with. Yay for imposter syndrome. Anybody else suffer from that? Hi, how you doing? Thank you for joining. And I know it might be a little difficult on this like camera to see how these minor details are actually playing a role in the overall finished piece, but I promise you that sometimes these little details just really make it all come together in the end. It's I appreciate the support, and it's all good. I'm at a point where I finally truly believe, not just like, you know, the saying like, you know, if someone's bullying you, it has to do with them. It really does, though. It really does. And I'm at a point in my life where I finally understand that truly, that the more unhappy someone is, usually the more unkind they are. So if anything, I just feel really sad that they're that unhappy that they feel the need to try and bring other people down. I don't think it's a reflection necessarily of my work, though it's totally cool if they don't like my work. Not everyone's going to, and that's also okay. But there's also like, there's not a need to announce it if you don't like it. Is all of this already there and you go over it with the wand or pen? So I painted in all of this on different layers. And so right now I am going over it on this layer to create this highlight effect using the blending mode add. So these are blending modes over here, so I did the add. And that it's creating this really like vibrant line here that I'm adding to create highlights on the trees, on like the bark. But I did, the last 3 years I did content creation in a different field than what I'm doing right now. And, you know, you really do have to, I guess, grow emotional calluses for the people out there that are determined to misunderstand you, that are determined to hate you, and sometimes for very random reasons, invalid reasons even, stupid reasons even. and just know that, like, one, sometimes your biggest haters do have good points. It's hard to swallow that pill, but sometimes they do. But that doesn't mean the way they delivered it is okay. It doesn't mean you have to accept it either. And that, 90 to 99% of the time, they're just projecting their own unhappiness in the world, and this being mean to others and like having this moment of controlling how I feel makes them feel powerful. And like, that's really sad, that is their existence, you know? I wish them nothing but the best and lots of healing. I hope that they find happiness, because I think we all deserve it. How do you even start drawing? I love this question. There's a lot of different ways to do it. Lots of different people are going to have different opinions. What I want to start by saying, though, is that there really is no wrong way. Hi, Jay. Welcome. There's really no wrong way to start, but what I would say is be consistent with what you're starting with. So if there's a way that you're implementing or practicing something that seems to be working for you, stick with it. Controversial a little bit here. I think sometimes when you don't know how to do anything, sometimes just taking one thing that you want to study and putting all of your energy into studying that one thing, and like getting it so that you feel comfortable with it, then moving on to the next thing can be really helpful. So for example, if you want to draw like human faces, but you're like, where do I even start? Maybe instead of worrying about the whole face, you just pick a feature of the face, whether that's eyebrows or eyelids or eyelashes or eyes or lips or noses, whatever, right? And just study it, and study it a lot. Study references. What I was going to say is people don't ever, like to say that it happens, but like pull a picture up if you're in like a digital drawing and trace over it. Don't claim it as your own, but in practice, trace over it. Why? Because you're going to get muscle memory. You're going to start to understand. So like, I'll put these real quick under here to sort of explain. So many layers. Group. So if we look at my initial sketch, right? So here's my initial sketch. I've never drawn a fox before. This is now my second time doing it because I did one yesterday. And then I repainted one again this morning for the tutorial. But if I wanted to practice like with a photograph, pretend this is a photograph, there's a lot of ways that you can, start to see things that maybe you didn't see before. So for example, this might seem like a lot of lines and a lot of curves, and you're like, how does this all come together? Here's a rectangle, here's a rectangle, here's a rectangle. Are they slightly off? Sure. Here can be like a square, right? And then maybe like a trapezoid here. And then once you sort of understand where shapes are coming from, right? This is where we'll call this like a triangle here, like a very long triangle. When you start to see shapes in this, you're able to start deciding. I'm gonna take this out for a second so you can see, and take the opacity on this down so you can also see. This is the point where you can start deciding where the rounded edges come, right? And where more of those details come from. So you can use these as your guide. Like, okay, so here's a leg. Okay, so this is where the leg, because the leg's not going to be perfectly straight. Okay, so here it is, right? And you know that maybe this line goes up here. So obviously I'm going very fast, but this can start to show you how things are coming together. Like an eye. Like, yes, it's a circle. There's a triangle here. There's a triangle there. Is it that simple? No, but that's a good start, right? So, and then from there, if you're studying a photograph, you can start to see, okay, so there's another circle inside. Sometimes there's a square here of light, depending on the light source. Maybe it's a square and a circle. Maybe it's just a circle of light. Maybe they have a with like a ring light, and so you're actually going to see a whole ring of light in the eye. Study what the irises look like. What do the inner workings of the iris look like? I like to make drawings more boxy, and I don't like to make it round. Totally fine. I love that. That's a style. That's a style choice, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. Not at all. You know, get really, and then also, so I'm breaking down shapes, but then you can also do that with colors. So if you're like, say, looking at a photo, let me pull one in. Give me one sec, guys. Import. Is there anything I can utilize? Yeah, this one works. So this is the reference that I used for the fox itself, okay? All right, so I'm sure you can see where I got my reference from. Now, obviously, I made a lot of creative decisions on the colors, right? Because this fox has a lot of color variation than the one that I used. It has a lot more gray in it. It has some browns and grays in the midsection here. It's also a little bit skinnier. I wanted mine a little bit plumper. But like, let's say you wanted to paint this entire piece. That can feel like a lot of different details going on. But ultimately what you need to know is right here is a shape and a shape of color, right? So let's make this a little bit. So you can go like, okay, there's like a triangle here, there's a triangle here, there's a triangle here. You can decide what shape that is for you. Almond. You know, you can also just round it out and go, okay, so here's a shape. And then there's one shape, there's another shape, there's a line, and then shapes. Ultimately, though, at the end of the day, when we go to do color, we want to try and remember the differences the same way that we do with our shapes. We also want to do that with colors. So you can see here, this is where like the darkest colors are. And you can see that the darkest colors go right along here on this edge. You can see that the darkest colors stay here and go in between here, right? And then also on this underside here. So when we do that, we're able to start to see, okay, so under here is going to be dark, right around here is going to be dark, here's going to be dark. It's really just trying to break it down into shapes. I love that. If I make a circle, I make it like a hexagon. That's awesome. Hey, if it works for you, it works for you, right? So I would say when you also break down colors, breaking down colors are similar to breaking down, you know, shapes of things. You want to really look at, like, focus on one color at a time, focus on one shape at a time. And if you want to learn how to draw animals, stay focused on animals, get really comfortable with animals. And then once you have that down, go outside your comfort zone. Okay, what's a little bit further? Okay, nature. Literally just start studying nature. Break it down into smaller bits. I think I'm pretty close to, like, I don't want to say done, but just like, you know. I'm going to try seeing if fog will look good in this. For fog, I like to use the clouds, and then I end up using the Gaussian blur to take out some of the details. And it's not going to stay that color. so velocity. Okay, so screen might be a good one, and then I'm going to use Gaussian blur to take out some of those details. And then I'm going to put it on alpha lock. I'm going to grab the brown and see if I can darken it up some in some areas, not all areas, just a few. And make sure I'm on something like this. Let's see. And then to soften up some of this edge, I'm just gonna smudge it. I'm also going to play around with this background color and see if this is actually the color that I want. So let me see. I kind of like that, with a bit more like blue in it. I might change this to a color then that's a bit more fitting, but we'll see. I feel like that could work. Okay, so on this layer, which are the leaves up here, I'm going to select a slightly darker color. To darken up some of the leaves that are back further here. So I can still keep those light, but I just want to make sure that I'm getting enough color variation to suggest the further back something is, you know, the darker it's getting. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out. Enjoy scrolling. I know it's fun, right? I don't have a schedule right now. I have small children that sometimes are sick and stay home, which has been the last couple weeks. And I also have an autoimmune disease, so I tend to have flare-ups every once in a while, and I get really tired, and I never know when it's going to hit, and I feel bad committing to something and telling people like, oh yeah, I go live on these days, and then not showing up because I can't commit to it. I just never know with certainty like when I'm going to feel well or not. And unfortunately, I get tired really easily. It's very frustrating. I would love to have like normal amounts of energy. I'm gonna see how this looks in the background. Let's see, but I don't want. I think maybe something like this. Smaller. Oh, thank you. I appreciate your compassion. I hope, I hope in time I'm able to get my health a little bit more under control so I can predict a little bit more. But right now I'm just trying to do what I can when I can. All right, I think let's take off. That is no, okay. Maybe I can make these a bit darker. Too dark. I don't like that. I think also it'd probably be beneficial if I put some light ones in too. Okay. All right. I think for now, it's a good idea for me to like step back from it. I really want to keep painting, but I think I need to step away from this in particular. Also, I think this needs more shadow. You know what? Let me do that first, and then I'll step away. I think this needs shadow. It would help ground the fox in the piece. does. You need to go up here. There. I was like, there's definitely a reason why you can't see, and I don't know what it is yet. Ooh, that's a great question. Are there particular artists that inspire me? There are many. I wish I could name them all. I'm not great with names. I would say really easy inspiration since I was a kid would be like Thomas Kincaid. I've always loved the way he did lighting. Oh my gosh, amazing. One of the artists, let me look real quick in my that I follow here that I love his tutorials and just in general his work. I've been following him for a while, like years now, I feel. Dun, dun, dun. James Julier. If you're not following him, you absolutely should. He is a phenomenal content creator. He knows how to break down landscapes like it's just nobody's business. He's so good. I really like his work. I also like Genevieve's design. She was gone for a while, but I love her illustration work. Her illustrations are the cutest, and she makes them very like easy to follow on how to make them. Yeah, they're adorable. Let's see. Oh gosh. Give me 1 second. It's been a long time since I've been asked this question. Now Turner is the last name, but I can't think of his first name. Was it William Turner? James. Yes. So J.M.W. Turner, a traditional artist, and I like known as his name for William Turner. He does really wonderful work as well. It's very light oriented, and there's a lot of movement in his work, but he also died in 1851. So it's been a while. He's been gone a while. But I absolutely love his work. I studied it in college, and I thought it was great. Oh, I'm getting sucked into the vortex. I love his work. There's another artist that I can think of who's a digital artist, but I don't know. Let's see. Okay. And I remember following him about like a decade ago, and he's definitely one of my favorites, if I can find his work. However, I will say there's a lot of artists that duplicate like similar styles to his work now. So I don't know exactly how special it is. Okay. But to me at the time, like over 10 years ago, his work was like out of this world, right? Like people weren't digitally painting like they are now. So I remember seeing his work and just being like in awe of it. I'm so irritated right now because I have an image in my mind of so many of his pieces, and I just, for the life of me, cannot think of his name. Just give me 1 moment. If I can't find it, I'll give up on it. Son of a gun. Okay, I will definitely get a list together of my favorite artists, because I know once I find his work, I will want to share. Ooh, is this it? Tell me who painted it. Dang it. Okay. Yeah, I will definitely do research on that because I think it's a good idea for me to be able to list off as I go follow these humans. Yes, go do it. There's so many talented artists out there. So many. I think it's a really wonderful world that we live in now, that we can see so much beautiful art, because how many of these artists wouldn't be able to be discovered if it weren't for things like YouTube and social media. You know, it's just incredible to see what's out there. I try really hard to use that more as a motivation to keep growing and progressing as an artist rather than discouragement, because my goodness, are there some really, really talented artists out there. But I know if I keep working at it, I will be one day making the things that I look at other people making going, wow, I don't think I'll ever be able to get to that level. Because there was a point where even what I'm making now wasn't something I ever thought I could achieve, you know? All right. Small ask, but if you guys, I mean, I think it's a small ask. I apologize if you don't think it is. If you could like do the thumbs up on this video, that would be awesome. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. If you would like to support my channel and my art, it would be much appreciated if you watched one of my tutorials. I'm really trying to get monetized so that I can try to help support my family a bit more. But I also know that that one's a big ask, to ask for someone to sit down and actually watch through a tutorial. But if you feel so inclined, that would help tremendously. Okay. I'm going to call it a day for now. Let's see. And I'm definitely going to get a list of artists that I really like. So that way, I think it'd probably be a good idea too to just make a video, because I think it's important we support other artists. And I think there's a lot of artists out there that don't get the recognition that they deserve. So definitely do your research, guys. Look around. There's a lot of people who have really great styles, great lessons, tutorials out there. All right, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. It's truly appreciated. Words are simply not enough to express my gratitude for just hanging out with me and spending time, and the support that you've given to my art and my channel. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your Wednesday, assuming you're still in Wednesday. I know I have people from all over the world, but so whatever day it is for you, whatever time, I hope that it's been a wonderful day. And I will hopefully be back sometime tomorrow. I don't see why I wouldn't unless I'm too exhausted, but I'm hoping with a good night's sleep, I'll be good to go. All right, guys, talk to you guys soon.